One of the main reasons that led to the outbreak of World War I, or also known as the Great War in 1914, was precisely due to the intricate relations established between the powers in Europe. For instance, the political system that differed amongst these world powers, massive involvement in colonial race, and an effective division of these European world powers into two separate camps by 1900, which are the Triple Alliance and the Triple Entente. The causes of World War I could be categorized into four main types, which are militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism. This video will be focusing on four main examples of nationalism and their roles as causes of World War I. These examples include the Realpolitik policy, First Moroccan crisis in 1905, First Balkan War in 1912, and July crisis in 1914. The Weltpolitik policy, which was a sign of the rise of German nationalism, was aimed to increase global strength of Germany through naval expansion and colonial expansion. This was an implementation of nationalistic desire to secure Germany's future among the imperialistic European powers. The young and ambitious German Emperor, Kaiser Wilhelm II, hoped that this policy would make Germany a colonial power with an overseas empire and navy. The implementation of Weltpolitik by the Germans would deter Britain, and leverage could be applied for concessions in future crises. Coupled with high economic growth, the naval laws of 1898 and 1900 were aimed at securing Germany's interests in the North Sea. Britain, who had long been leading the colonial and economic power due to her naval strength, found herself bothered by the speedy expansion of German industrial prowess. By 1900, there were clear signs of Germany as an economic rival due to her scale and methods of production and superiority of technology in comparison to Britain. British nationalistic sentiments dominated and led Britain to propel a naval arms race culminating in the construction of a dreadnought in 1906 and politically isolated Germany. Germany's competitiveness eventually heightened tension and resistance with other European countries, which led to war. Furthermore, German nationalism also led to the First Moroccan crisis that occurred from 1905 to 1906. Germany was worried by the new relationship between Britain and France in the Anglo-French Agreement of 1904, which stated that France would recognize Britain's position in Egypt in return for British approval of French occupation of Morocco. Germany attempted to break the Entente by attacking France in Morocco. Germany declared that they would assist the Sultan of Morocco to maintain Morocco's independence and demanded an international conference to discuss its future. With a heightened atmosphere of crisis and threat of war by the Germans throughout 1905, made the French give in and agreed to Algeciras Conference in 1906. Unfortunately for Germany, Britain backed France and their demands for influence in Morocco. Furthermore, Germany lacked the support from other countries in the conference, which led to a political defeat for them. Britain and France soon after entered into a more militarized alliance, which placed Germany on her guard. This crisis, due to German nationalism, eventually escalated towards the outbreak of the Great War. The First Balkan War that occurred in 1912 could also be seen as a cause of World War I due to Balkan nationalism. In the opening months of 1912, the predation of the decaying Ottoman Empire would soon reach its peak when the Italians seized Tripoli from the Ottomans. The First Balkan War soon occurred after this. Encouraged by the Russians, the Balkans comprised of Serbia, Greece, Montenegro and Bulgaria formed a Balkan alliance. They attacked the Ottoman Empire and captured most of her remaining territories in Europe. Their main objective was to force Turkey from the Balkans by taking Macedonia and dividing it up between themselves. Austria was horrified by the possibility of a strengthened Serbia. As a result, Austrian generals called for war. The danger was that Russia would support Serbia, its ally, and will eventually spiral up into a wider European war. There was an attempt of discontinuing the spreading of the possibility of war through a peace conference in London. The conference agreed to divide up the former Turkish lands between the Balkan states. Nonetheless, Austria-Hungary succeeded in containing Serbia by getting the conference to agree to the creation of Albania. This agreement proved to have caused more resentment between Serbia and Austria-Hungary, which inevitably led to the outbreak of war. The Serbian nationalism, on the other hand, was evident in the immediate causes of war, the July crisis in 1914. The event that broke the calm was the shooting death of Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife on 28 June 1914. He was the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne and symbolic of Austro-Hungarian regime. They were on a visit to the capital of Bosnia, where they were shot at point-blank range by a terrorist. The assassin had been working with a small group of terrorists armed by the Serbian Black Hand movement. Their objective was the unification of all Slavs from the Austro-Hungarian Empire into a greater Serbia. The Austrians immediately blamed Serbia for the attack. Austrian government saw a chance to crush Serbia. Fearing that an attack on Serbia would involve the Russians, they needed a reassurance from their ally, Germany, for support. Kaiser and his chancellor responded by issuing Austria a blank check on 5 July 1914, which represented Germany's guarantee of unconditional support. The immediate cause led to a downward spiral effect that could not be contained once started, as a series of thoughts or actions feeds back into itself, causing the situation to become progressively worse, which eventually caused most of the European powers to be involved in the war. On the whole, nationalist sentiments of the various countries led to actions that created tension between nations, leading to the outbreak of World War I. Every country tried to prove their dominance and were willing to execute anything to promote their national interests, regardless of its effects on others. It generated many other factors that were interconnected that intensified conflicts among the European powers, which led to World War I in 1914.